Hello everyone, welcome back to History 102. We're continuing with our discussion on absolutism. For today, for the next lesson, we'll be looking at Baroque art. This is something that I teach in connection with the concept of absolutism. So this will require you to look at some artwork and apply some of the knowledge that you learned in this kind of quick lecture, and hopefully also understand how art can challenge the concept of absolutism. So quickly, let me list some of the objectives for this lesson. First off, we're going to define what is Baroque art, and we're going to do that very quickly. And the book does have a small section on it, but not in great detail. Number two, we're going to examine examples that reflect the ideals of Baroque art. This way you can apply the definition to the art itself and see how the 16th century was really about creating art that reflected people's religiosity and also reflected reality, particularly in contrast to the Renaissance. And then the last thing that we'll address here by looking at the image by Velázquez called Las Meninas, we will see how art can challenge the concept of absolutism. So here we have an image that reflects the concept of Baroque art. As you can see, there's a lot of darkness in this area. It's just fruit hanging from, looks like a windowsill. And you see some light over here, along with very kind of detailed aspects of the different vegetables and fruit that are there. So let's give a quick definition of what Baroque art is, and then we'll look at some art so you can help analyze it. So we begin by looking at the word itself. The word is an Italian word that comes that is defined as Barocco, and it's this style of art is very prominent in the 1600s to the 1700s. The Renaissance has ended by this time, and Baroque art is heavily influenced by its previous generation of artists. The word itself of Barocco means something that's irregular, something that's beautiful, something that's fascinating, something that's strange. And you kind of see that in this artwork where there's just this kind of emptiness, dark vastness versus this contrast of light and just kind of fruit hanging there. So let's continue by looking at what are some different aspects of Baroque art. First off, Baroque art really gives you an emotional response. It's depicting real people, real events, unlike the Renaissance, which focuses a lot on either religious artwork or kind of important figures in history, though Baroque can't reflect that too. We do see a shift in that. But it's also kind of reflecting reality. If you can look at the vegetables here and the fruits, you can kind of see that there's different textures, right? It looks like the actual fruit, like you can touch it and almost bite into it. Number two, it engages the audience. The audience is supposed to want to maybe touch and feel or reflect on it. So unlike Renaissance art, where you just observe it, maybe just for its beauty's sake, in Baroque, there's this element that requires the viewer to participate with it, and we'll give you some examples of that. Number three, it's supposed to inspire you, though this particular art piece is not very inspiring. The ones that we will see later, it's supposed to renew your faith and maybe spread the gospel. Whether you're Protestant or Catholic at this age, you're supposed to get inspired by some of this artwork and maybe go preach or go back and read your Bible. But it's completely different from the Renaissance, which again is just you're just observing it, and maybe Renaissance art tends to teach you rather than inspire you. We see the dramatic light in this artwork, and this is a very common theme throughout Baroque art. You see it in Rembrandt's work, but we'll see it also with the people that we look at, such as Bernini and Velázquez. So there's a lot of harmonious colors, very kind of natural colors. As you can see, these are very kind of earthy type colors, and that's another kind of key characteristics of Baroque. So I'll stop it here, and we're going to look at some arts, and I'm going to ask you to apply some of these concepts to some of the images that we see.